Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Stadium Rant presents Fifth Down Territory. We're back light a little bit tonight. Tyler's going to be joining us in a bit. And as always, we're going to miss our fantastic co-host, Shane. He's got some work obligations tonight, but the show goes on. Thanks for bearing with us during our absence last week. There's been a lot of football since the last time we spoke, and we got a lot to get into. So what do you think, Blake? First week of preseason's out of the way. Have the football vibes hit yet?
I feel like they've been hitting. I feel like no one really cares about preseason games. I mean, outside of like teams that have like quarterback competitions going on where those reps like really mean something. But it's just good to have football games being played and seeing them on the schedule and seeing people actually start to talk about football plays instead of rankings and yada yada. Because we're just like I feel like once you get to that like week 2, week 3 preseason time, it's like all of the conversations have pretty much been had at this point. We just need to get down to playing some meaningful football. And, we're almost there.
Yeah. I'd say, there have been some stars shining so far in preseason. We're going to get into that a little bit as we go on. But, lots of news happening. We get into preseason for depth signings and things like that. So we're going to go over, I guess, some of the big ones that have happened over the last couple of days. Zach Martin's finally back at camp. Star guard for the Cowboys. He just signed a big, I think it was $336 was his extension, 3-year, $36 million guaranteed. Their line did not look good in the preseason without him. And I don't know that they played all of their starters, but I just think preseason is always a reminder about how valuable offensive linemen are. Like every year during the offseason, we talk about corners, we talk about wide receivers, star power, whatever. And it's easy to forget about some of those guys down there in the trenches, man. And preseason just always shines a spotlight that the big men up front do work.
Yeah, no, that's the game's changed a lot over the years, but it's one of the better old Vince Lombardi quotes. Games won in the trenches, both sides, and that's right. That's how I'm say. You're right. Good for Zach Martin getting his money. Notre Dame guy.
Yep.
Probably gonna be a Hall of Famer. And
if any guard is ever eligible for the Hall of Fame, it has to be somebody like him. I mean, dude is just the model of consistency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they obviously need that. They need to keep that clean. Need to keep it good core there for Tony Pollard, and we'll see. They're saying Deuce Vaughn's looking pretty good for them too right now.
Yeah. He's one of the guys up on a highlight. He looked really good in his game. Real slippery in between the tackles, which I don't think anyone was expecting him to run there. He seemed more like an outside kind of guy, but
he's got such a motor too. Like he just keeps going.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a good sleeper.
Speaking of running backs, Anthony Richardson officially QB1. Just kidding. Way too early for that. But quarterback competition in Indianapolis is officially over. Richardson was named the starter today, I believe, or late last night. So Gardner Minshew, again, relegated to a bench role. The number 4 overall pick will be starting week 1 against Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. So what do you think? You think, are you a believer in the rookie trial by fire, or are you more of the let him sit and learn? Because it's not like Minshew's a horrendous quarterback.
I think it depends on. There's a couple different factors. What is your quarterback situation? For the most part, like when you're getting these guys outside of like the Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers situations. Hey, Tyler Lamb is here.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome to the party, brother. But
don't let me interrupt.
We were just talking about rookie quarterbacks. Play them, sit them.
Oh, with Anthony Richardson, yeah.
Generally, I'd say we play them, get them out there. You only have so much time on that rookie contract, unless like they're really at a Like they really don't understand the offense, and they're just a total liability. You should give them that time. Yeah, we try it. I usually look back in the the lens of the Bills for most things. We had Nathan Peterman was our guy, and we tried putting him in before Josh because we wanted to let Josh sit, and then we were like, oh, this guy just threw like 5 interceptions and a half. Like, what are we do? The kid can't do any worse than that.
Classic Peterman performance.
Vintage, totally vintage.
If
So
whatever the opposite of the Hall of Fame is, Nathan Peterman belongs in that. Like they really need like a Hall of Horrendous, and Nathan Peterman is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Excellent alliteration.
Thank you. Yeah, I like that outlook. I really love your point, Blake, about like, does he understand the offense? I feel like that is a really big crux because you can only get them so many live reps in practice. And for those of you who follow along, a couple weeks ago, I was really a big proponent of sitting AR, mostly because of the JT stuff and some issues with the line. But I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, like I thought he looked good in his preseason debut, much, much better than I expected. And the pick, I don't think was all his fault. Out of all the rookie quarterbacks, like I would say CJ Stroud's to me was much more on quarterback than Anthony Richardson's was. And so if he understands the offense, I think I saw him make an adjustment on one of the snaps, kind of change the protection a little bit. He understands how to create in space, and sometimes the game speed, you just have to learn. So I think my perspective changed a little bit after that first game. And I'm on board with the whole he's earned to start. Let him go.
Yeah, I mean, Gardner Minshew is probably one of the league's best backup quarterbacks, but like that's as far as it goes. Like Minshew mania had its time. It's over. It's AR time. I think we kind of talked about this last time we were here. I'm just all in for getting that rookie quarterback his experience. I mean, it's his rookie year. If he gets down because he makes mistakes, he's probably not a franchise quarterback. If he can't bounce back from the mistakes made in his rookie year where you're expected to make mistakes and bounce back from them, then they have a real issue on their hands. But I believe that he is going to understand what makes him special in that offense and use his legs and really, really thrive this year as a rusher and hopefully take some strides forward in the next couple of years as a passer.
I thought that deep pass to Alec Pierce that was dropped was just on the money. Like it's not going to get talked about a lot because it wasn't a completion, but if that thing was a touchdown, that's highlight reel material all day. He was drifting left. He threw off platform right over the defender in the bucket. Like you don't get a better corner end zone throw than that.
No, so, he looked good other than that one little sidearm pass that got picked off. And, that was more on the defensive back's read on that situation. I mean, he left it a little right. A little bit of accuracy problems, but you're right on the worst one, unfortunately, was Stroud's to Jalen Mills in the beginning of that Patriots game. That was gross.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to those games. Staying in the AFC East, though, let's talk about the two big signings that happened. So Lamb, the Belichick boy himself, give us your thoughts on the Zeke signing. $6 million, 1 year. Ramondre Stevenson, my fantasy team sobbing.
Hold up. Let me go get my clown makeup real quick. All right. Let me put it on live screen for you.
You said a couple weeks ago, we need to sign a playmaker. Guess what they went out and did?
Not that. They signed a washed up cube. Like, get the guy with 6,000 carries on his legs. Like, come on. They gave him $4 million base salary. I just don't understand why you wouldn't sign Damian Harris to a $1.6 million salary. And
1.7 million for Damian Harris,
who is injured right now. I'll say that. But if you need a backup to spell your number one running back, you're gonna pay. The whole Patriots system is built off value per se. So where's the value in getting a dude who was cut by his former team who loved him? I get the price range wasn't there, but like he was cut for a reason. He's not on a team for a reason. He wasn't having teams line up to sign him for a reason. Everybody was in on Dalvin Cook. This should have been a DeAndre Hopkins signing, and at the very least, it should have been a Dalvin Cook signing because at $6 million, up to $6 million, the typical Patriots phrase, up to, never guaranteed, up to. So if you're going to give him up to $6 million, why can't you just fork over the 2.6 extra and get an actual good playmaker who isn't washed up? Like, yeah, Ramondre Stevenson's value is also tanked, and that pisses me off in a whole separate realm of things that piss me off. But it's almost ignorance at this point by Bill Belichick. That's what this move spells. And everybody who says this is a sick move for the Patriots, what's it gonna do? Win us one less game? That's what I think it's gonna do for us. Win us one less game.
I think he will end the year with a substantial amount of touchdowns and very little else.
This JC, this is very, very, very much it. This is it. Too much.
Blake, you want to give some thoughts on Dalvin Cook to the Jets?
Yeah, for sure. I think that for me, the writing was on the wall with this one when as soon as contract. When I saw like the figures, it was like $35 million pay cut and opens up about $9 million in cap space this year. I was thinking that is just about enough money to sign Dalvin Cook, and sure enough, $8.6 million, they get a deal done, and that offense is going to be a real problem, man. Honestly, I think that Bills fans should be worried about the Jets, and if not Bills fans, definitely Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, because they're really Joe Douglas has really done a good job putting that team together, man. You look at the weapons that they got now. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson, I think is a pretty good backup quarterback to have. We were just talking about Gardner Minshew. This is a pretty good. I mean, he might get another shot down the road if Carson Wentz can get the shots with 3 different teams, and who knows, Zach Wilson might still have an opportunity someday. But then obviously, on the outside with Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, you still got Corey Davis who can still reemerge. You got McCole Hardman, you got Randall Cobb, and now you got these 2 stud running backs, Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. Man, those are like definitely 2 top 10 running backs. You can make the argument that they're 2 top 5 running backs, and then still got CJ Uzoma at tight end. So they're loaded. The only issue is their offensive line. We were talking before this. Vince Lombardi, games won in the trenches. That they said that back in the beginning of like the NFL, and that's still true today. And that's kind of like one of the things that the whole AFC East has in common is their below average offensive lines. I'd say they're all like kind of like, if you had to rank them, they're probably in the 20s, probably all of them. And which one's better than which? It's pretty marginal, honestly. So it's gonna be Aaron Rodgers is gonna have to get the ball out quick. He's a little bit older now, but Dalvin Cook should help with pass protection too. So yeah. honestly, monster signing for them, but they don't have much cap space left now, so they need everyone to stay healthy.
I think it would be interesting. Like, I would watch if they're like, let's say trade deadline is week 9. Is that right?
Sounds right.
Week 9 or 10, yeah.
Somewhere right in there. Okay. So say the Jets are like 6-3 going right up to trade deadline, but they've lost like 2 really close games. Like, you're a coin flip away from 8-1. This is the time. Like, Rodgers doesn't have forever, and you can't keep this current band of, whatever they have going on over there together. So the Jets could make another move at the trade deadline. Like, I would not surprise me to see them trade for a guard or a center or something to shore that line up a little bit if they're having problems. I think tackle would be hard to get with no first this coming year because of Rodgers, but you've seen crazier things than a guard or a center, a good one, go for a second plus. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up the news segment there. I know everybody probably still has a lot of thoughts, but I think everybody's going to want to talk more about preseason performances. So any more of that? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, it's Dan from Stadium Rant from Follow the Volume. So yeah, I mean, this just infuriates me even more that they have $17 million in cap space. They should have signed them both. Like, frustration. Then a quick another one here. Yeah. Couldn't have said it any better myself. Now we just have people competing for more targets in the back, more carries and targets in the backfield. And I'm pissed. Okay, I'm done with that.
Have the Patriots ever been big, like, deadline acquisition people?
Sometimes. Sometimes they try. I mean, does Mohamed Sanu count? Not really.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember the day thinking they got Mohamed Sanu for a second. That's crazy. And then everybody's like, what happened to Mohamed Sanu?
Nothing. He's done. Nah, they're really big on doing this shit. I mean, they're big on taking a player with a giant name who's past his prime, and Bill's like, I'll make it work. Whatever the hell he says, or disgruntles grunts at freaking media people at. I'm mad. I'm mad about this signing. Don't like it. So,
well, I'm sure the Patriots will have more opportunity to disappoint us throughout the season. So make sure to tune back in when the Patriots are 0-1, and we'll give Tyler his own 10-minute segment for you guys to go ahead and enjoy. All right. What's next? You want to talk? Oh, we're going to talk preseason performances, I guess. But real quick, we have a nice little ad read for you guys right here.
Stadium Rant proudly presents Sportsmanlike Misconduct, hosted weekly on Wednesdays by Carson McKinley. He is always coming up with innovative ways to bring content to this community. After this episode, be sure to go give him a sub at his channel and check out his recent NFL videos.
Yeah, shout out to our boys over there at Sportsmanlike Misconduct. Carson's a great dude. Talk to him all the time. So if you're enjoying this, definitely make sure and check him out. If you're not enjoying this, also make sure and check him out because, he's better than us. So just kidding.
whoa.
Preseason performances. All right, so we're going to go ahead and give you guys our top 5 performances from this week. Going to try and keep it to non-notable names. So we're not going to come out here and be like, hopefully, I haven't really talked with them about this, but if anybody says Justin Fields, I'll leave this broadcast right now. Some guys that we know have the it factor, but we're going to talk more about some new guys, some rookies, or potentially some second-year players. I have a second-year player on here. So let's just kind of go round the room. Blake, you want to start us off? Who was one of the standouts for you?
Yeah, I had mostly rookies as well. My second year player was Kenny Pickett. When I want to say like 8 for 9 touchdown, and that's who the Bills are going to be going up against this coming week. And big season for Kenny Pickett. I'm excited to see. I think I'm higher on Kenny Pickett than a lot of other people are, and they've just done such a good job building around him, and I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan too.
Yeah, his throw right over the middle to George Pickens was exquisite. Yep. Definitely a highlight of that game. Tyler,
yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
I think Pickens is gonna become the wide receiver 1 in that offense in short order.
I love that George Pickens play. I mean, I'll pick somebody else so you could talk about your guy, Louie, on your team.
No, you can take. I got a guy on your team to talk about, so go ahead.
Excuse me. I'm battling with my puppy right now. He wants to play so badly, and my girlfriend just went and took a shower. So it's like, yeah, try and keep him somewhat entertained as he's trying to bite me. But yeah, so okay, I'll take Tank Dell. I mean, I think Tank Dell was probably, or Nathaniel Dell for any of you who didn't know that.
Nathaniel Tank Dell.
Yeah, what an ill nickname that just doesn't fit the way when you would imagine him, but like you see him on the field and you're like, okay, I see why that dude's a tank. All right, bud. Oh my god, give me 1 second. He's going to the crate.
I'll talk about Tank Dell while Tyler's rallying the animals. He's on my list as well. Obviously a bias, but this was one of the games I watched in full. And one of the things that you're not going to see in the highlights is he was getting really good separation pretty much every play, even when he didn't get a target. And the balls weren't perfectly placed either. That was something that I noted. Like he went 5 for 65 and a touchdown. I really feel like he probably could have gone, like 4 for 80 and a touchdown if the balls had been where they needed to be. There were a couple that were thrown behind him, and he's a big yak guy. But my big takeaway was that coming into the league, he was really coming into the league, right? We're not there yet. We don't buy preseason hype that much, but he's really been drafted or like proposed as a gadget guy. Going to play in the slot, going to play in motion, going to take jet sweeps kind of thing. He played almost exclusively in the X in preseason, and he was doing a great job with it. He got good separation. He put, was it Jack Jones on that one play on the turf? So, I'm glad he didn't pull out the 9s on him, but he saves that for the airport. So, thanks, Jack.
Bring it.
But Tank Dell with a great debut.
All I gotta say.
What you want to say?
No. I totally agree with the separation. He was carving us up. The guy, my biggest concern with him coming into draft season and after he was drafted was his stature, the 5'8", 170. But goddamn, I couldn't tell he was 5'8", 170 while he was on the field. He was making plays left and right. Nobody could touch him. So, I mean, I understand, like, that's also with most of our first team defense out there. So, like, that when the when the defensive line wasn't cooking, the DBs were getting beat, and it was getting beat by Dell.
Yeah, and I also, when you talk about his size, like it's not 1-to-1. He is pretty small, smaller than most of the guys you're going to find, but there have been small receivers who found success in the past. So here's to hoping Slowick can really utilize him inside of the full scheme. But all right, Blake, give us your number 2 guy. Not that this is in any order.
Yeah, mine were really in no order. But Malik Willis, I thought actually had a pretty decent showing. Was 16 of 25, 189 yards, had 1 interception off of a guy's hands, he had 1 rushing touchdown, I think like 30 yards rushing, but not that the rushing stats don't matter because he was actually like taken out of a game last preseason for running the ball too much. They wanted him to throw it and see that he could actually be a passer in the NFL. And then for most of last year, he was an athlete playing quarterback. So they brought in Josh Dobbs at the end of the year. But he actually showed in this game that he can throw a football. And that's pretty much what we've been hearing. And it looked pretty grim with them Will Levis getting drafted. But I don't know. He might have a solid chance to be the second string quarterback for this team.
Yeah, one thing about the NFL that I've always found interesting is, like, in our minds, there's a big emphasis on draft position, but these coaches want to see people come in and earn it, and I don't think it's done till it's done. Like, sometimes draft stock matters, but, we can't pretend like Malik Willis was like a 6th round pick. He was a 3rd pick last year, and Levis is only a 2nd, so I don't think that QB2 spot is locked up by a long shot.
Yeah, I love that draft capital thing. I think it really matters when you're a 1st round pick. After that, it gets really, really diluted. But But yeah, I mean, if Willis could just play like that, and kind of play his way quietly into that 2 role, I think Tannehill, like, I mean, I don't project injuries, but Tannehill's getting up there in age. He's not getting, like, his injury risk isn't going down. So, like, he could get some action this year. My second guy would be A.T. Perry. I thought A.T. Perry had a great game for the Saints. I believe he was drafted in the fourth round. But I really liked his game coming out of Wake Forest. I thought he would be one of the Patriots targets. Naturally, he wasn't. Why would they do that? You know, he's got size, speed. He was playing dominant, like that X receiver role, and he was making really good cuts. Really nice at the top of his route. So yeah, I really liked his production in that offense, and the Saints are looking for another player to step up and kind of command targets in that offense as a third receiver or as Michael Thomas insurance. So he definitely has a lot of value, I think, coming into the season.
Yeah, you know, Rashid Shaheed got to step it up if he wants. Which, I mean, maybe him, Shaheed, and Olave really become that core. But my second guy, I have Malik Cunningham on here. Just again, I watched a lot of the Texans-Patriots game, and he has the it factor, man. I mean, I know it's against backups and against some really bland defensive play calling, very limited playbook looks and things like that. But, I mean, that holds true on the offensive side, too. Like, they weren't giving him any good trick plays or anything. I thought he had a really great poise in the pocket. I think he knew how to move when he needed to. Maybe ran a little bit much, like a little early for my taste. Like there was one clean pocket I thought that he darted out of pretty soon. But other than that, like just the actual like electricity on the field was there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pushing for a QB2 spot, maybe.
Bless up, please. Yeah, he juking a kid out of his shoes like that, or out of his cleats like that, honestly, I don't think that it matters who it was. Like, I think that whoever it was going to get fucking dicked out like that. So, I don't know. I do really like Malik Cunningham. If I like him, though, what's Bill going to do? He's probably going to get cut pretty soon. So, Blake, who's your third guy?
I'd say kind of similar situation to Malik Willis, in that who's ahead of him, not necessarily who's behind him. Aiden O'Connell, Raiders quarterback, went like 15 of 18 with a touchdown. Like pretty much couldn't miss. Was looking pretty good, and was looking pretty good as that QB2. With we don't know what's going to happen with Jimmy G. I don't know when the last time he played a whole season was. Probably not since they went to the Super Bowl. But so this kid looked pretty good. He might get an opportunity. I mean, I don't project the Raiders winning that many games. So even if Jimmy G get hurt, he could potentially lose.
I totally agree with you. The first pass I watched him throw, I was like, damn, that's got some zip on it. Like straight up. Like I was like, woo! Some power behind that one. I'm writing a one sizzling take for each NFL team article. And my Raiders take is that Aiden O'Connell pulls the Brock Purdy. Like he straight up outplays Jimmy G, and he's just like, yeah, see you later. Jimmy G's gonna get like small like ankle sprain. He's gonna milk it for like 3 weeks, and Aiden O'Connell's gonna go play like out of his mind. And then because he has a great receiving core, there's Devontae Adams there's Jacoby Myers there's Josh Jacobs. Like there's no shortage of weapons for him. Yeah, I really like that one. My third player is Brian Branch, the Lions' second round pick. I mean, there was a little play that the Giants tried to run like that they used to, or that they run with Saquon quite often, where whoever their backup is, I'm blanking on his name now. He rolled out and the running back rolled out with him, and he hit him with a little shovel pass, kind of like a little 1 yard in front of him type of, I'm not going to run with this. I'm just going to dump it off. You're going to do. Brian Branch saw it from like the linebacker position, scoped it out, sprinted to the dude, and absolutely rocked him like a nice little like highlight reel, little hit stick type of thing. And I don't know, it was right out of the gate. It was open on the top, like the defensive first team, and he just showed that speed, instinct, and quickness that like he was touted for going into the draft. He should have been a first round draft pick. He fell to them, and they got a steal with him.
Yeah,
quickly saw that like on field instinct right there.
Yeah, he's very instinctual, and for some guys that's not good because it puts you in the wrong place at the wrong time, or in the right place at the wrong time. But he was on the money almost that entire game. Yeah. I was very impressed as well. And almost every Lions defensive highlight, he was like right there in frame every time.
It's going to be near the ball constantly. That
honestly,
good.
It reminded me a lot of end of the year Jalen Petrie kind of play, like almost like a star position player, like loves to lay the hit, loves to be first to the ball kind of guy. So I think the Lions got a good one with him. My third player, I'm going to stick with QB and DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson for the Browns. As a Texans fan, I'm praying on the Browns' downfall, but there's no denying the kid has game. He looks good. He looks very similar style to Watson. A little more run heavy probably. But, I mean, if you're looking for someone like a mini-me is what I call them when you try and mirror your backup to your QB1 so they can run the same style offense, I think that's a perfect fit there. I think he looked good and he was decisive. I thought his throws had great touch, which just like I was kind of shocked the way he was dropping it in. And as somebody who plays pickup quarterback, I can like only dream of half that much touch. I'm just putting it down the field and hoping someone catches it. And this kid's just like floating it. Like it looked fake at times. So he looked good. They played 2 games already because he played Hall of Fame game, I think, and then they played again, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I didn't think I was making that up. So he looked good in both. He's starting over who was their QB2 last game. I can think of that guy's name, but he's officially taking QB2 snaps now. And I think that's the right move for them. I think he looks really, really promising.
Yeah. I loved everything I saw from him in 2 games. We all knew he had athleticism. We all knew he kind of had that, like that, just mobile quarterback thing, but he looked really, really nice throwing the ball, like in his passes, motions, the way he went through his progressions, like everything kind of looked really solid. So I like that one a lot. Blake, what do you got for a fourth one?
I'm gonna go with Elijah Dotson, running back from the LA Chargers. Everyone's been talking about Isaiah Spiller as the second running back over there behind Eckler, and we don't know what's going to happen with Eckler, but this dude got an opportunity, and he had 6 carries for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That's pretty crazy.
To the bank.
Yeah, that'll get you noticed when you have that kind of.
Anytime you see a stat line and you have to try and guess if it's Madden or real life, deserves to be talked about.
Yeah. 6 for 92 alone. You don't even need the 2 touchdowns. Like that, like 13 yards a carry. Like you're just popping off first down runs.
Yeah. If you're averaging 1-2 yards a carry and a touchdown, leave that man in for a half. I want to see it. Show me the Adrian Peterson performance.
Yeah, he's an undrafted free agent and rookie. So yeah, kids.
Guys like that are what make the RB market so tough. Like you can just go find that dude.
I said it once, I'll say it again. Arian Foster was an undrafted free agent, so it's not like they don't happen.
No,
and you're right. The kid looked like a baller. Absolutely. Who you got for 4, Ty?
My 4th guy is somebody a little bit more well known, but I'm going with Romeo Doubs. I'm really, really, really high on Christian Watson. Like probably unhealthily so. in fantasy football, but I really, really like what I saw from Dobbs as well. I thought that Jordan Love kind of like locked on to him a little bit. He was separating and then he was going over the top and like taking the ball away from people who did catch up on the pass. And then he scored that touchdown. Again, just a grown man type of catch, like go up, take it away at catch point and come down with it in the end zone. I think that he's just kind of taken another step towards a really, really good wide receiver. I liked his game coming out of school, so like it makes sense that he's going to develop like this. I think that the Packers are doing the right thing, putting these younger weapons with Love who can all grow with each other, essentially.
Yeah, and all that means is that, next year they're going to be better than this year, and this year they'll probably have some growing pains. Like they're going to make the wrong read, they're going to play the ball wrong or go up too soon, and good corners are going to take advantage of those things. But at the same time, like it doesn't mean it's a reason to be discouraged. So I think, Packers fans they might be on the dynasty tear, like different kind of dynasty because they never win anything, but the kind of dynasty where at least you can watch football every Sunday.
They're super consistent. They're super consistent.
So, my fourth guy is actually Will McDonald, Jets defensive lineman. He was absolutely feasting in that game. Like, he looked the part of a first-round pick, which was one of my complaints and digs against him last year. I thought he was drafted high. I think he played 4I. I'm trying to remember where he played in college. I don't think it was Iowa.
Minnesota.
Okay, yeah. So he kind of played like this weird, like he's a speed rusher is what he is. So you play him on the outside, you let him bend around the tackle, and they played him like hand in the dirt, kind of over the guard a lot. So the Jets have really been kind of mixing it up and letting him try and use his speed and his length to play on the edge. And I think it's helped him a lot. He was rotational for their first team last year. I'd really like to see him continue having a great preseason and maybe get that first rotational spot on the edge next year, if not more of a permanent fixture. So he was one of my notables.
Yeah, it's going to be great with the Pats having no tackles to guard speed rushers. It's going to be wicked fun. Sick.
Yeah. You enjoy that. I mean, the Jets dominated the Panthers. So, it's hard to judge because, preseason, but it felt like Bryce Young was getting hit on every play. And every other snap of that was Will McDonald somehow. So
I feel that. I mean, I'll talk about my last one. I mean, it's a very similar situation. I mean, Keon White is my last standout for the Patriots. I felt like CJ Stroud was like just constantly under pressure. Like he'd snap the ball. Oh my God, I gotta go. Like I gotta go. And Keon White he showed this again, instinct, reactionary speed, and athleticism that is really, really rare for a defensive tackle that he is. I really hope Bill kind of puts him on like a hybrid edge position and move him around the defensive line. But if he's going to play like that and kind of keep growing and also, a side note, the dude looks like he's 40 and like one of the scariest men on the planet. Like, he looks wicked scary, doesn't he? Like he looks.
Oh yeah.
So like I doubt. I'm sure he's a good guy. But keep that mean intensity, that
energy.
Yeah, keep that energy. Honestly, their defensive line could be top 3 in the league if White, Barmore, Uche, and Judon all play 17 games. It's going to be a really difficult defensive line to guard. So I will say good things about my Patriots when good things are happening.
I think it's fair. Yeah. I will say my only downer on that comment is he was playing against Austin Desalis, who looked like he had never taken a snap at offensive tackle before in his life.
It was bad.
One of the worst right tackle performances I've ever seen. And I've been watching the Texans for a decade. So let that sink in.
For sure. I put it.
That doesn't take away from his performance because it wasn't like, oh, he's beating him on every snap. It was like immediate. And it was with different moves. He was like, he did a nice little speed bend on the outside. He put his hands right inside the pads and power rushed. Like he was doing a little bit of everything. And that's what you want to see out of players like that is toolbox. And he had that as well as the motor to get there. Blake, we kind of jumped you on that last one. Who's your fifth guy?
Sorry.
Oh, good. Yeah, I wanted to choose one from my team's game. I decided to go with Anthony Richardson. Honorable mention would be Damar Hamlin for strapping it up and getting out there. But in terms of like actual play, Anthony Richardson looked really good. He had one interception that wasn't really his fault, and the drop you were talking about earlier, but he looked like a bona fide NFL starter. And I mean, it's week 1 of preseason. You're gonna need to see more of it. Those the rookie quarterbacks. It's must see TV in preseason time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we're gonna have a little extra time somehow. I hope you're seeing this, JC. I think we'll be getting to the end a little early, so maybe we'll talk quarterbacks at the end again. My last guy is A.T. Perry as well. I just didn't want to talk the same thing as Tyler 2 slides in a row, but I thought he had a really strong game for the Saints. Very similar stat line to Tank Dell, different style play. I thought he was really aggressive at the catch point, which I always thought was a strong suit of his game. He just looked the part of an NFL receiver, like maybe not your 1K guy, but like a solid 600 to 700 yard guy that's just a good role player on your team. And they have Chris Olave. They don't need another 1,000 yard receiver. Like you always want more, but on a rookie contract, he looks like he's going to be part, and that's kind of what matters for the Saints right now. So we'll see if Derek Carr can unlock the hidden beast within. He looks jacked.
I will say that the Saints looked much better as an offense than I would have thought they did coming out like this. I know it was like a couple of drives, but Carr looked in control. They looked like a very solid offense. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm still not buying the whole Dennis Allen like regime change thing. I need another year of consistency, but I guess Carr is going to be a solid upgrade to what they had last year.
Yeah. And I will say, right, it's hard to judge off of preseason, but you can judge them against the Broncos, and they look better than the Broncos.
The Broncos look horrible, uninspired. That's what they look like, honestly, in my opinion. So,
and Mike McGlinchey not playing because I think he got injured in practice or something. The right side of that line it honestly looked like one of those little stall entryways at the fair. Like they were just like wheeling dudes through. Have you seen the video of that guy like patting people down and he's just like running his hands around them? He's not touching them. That's what it was. They were like, but coach, I was there. I was right in front of him. I didn't move. All right. We do have some time. So let's talk quarterbacks. I'd say, 4 big ones we need to touch on, obviously. Go with the number 1 overall first, Bryce Young. Here, I'll even pull up the stat line and we'll get into it. So 1 first down for the Panthers. But I will say that I thought he looked very in control. Like he looked poised in the pocket. I didn't think that I don't know. Do you guys know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, he looked like
a factor.
He had the most control over his offense in the earliest snaps of the game, I would say, because when you look at Stroud, when you look at Richardson, you don't really like they're getting the call and they're making the play. Like I know you said Richardson made an adjustment at the line, but it felt like Bryce was just like, all right, I already know the playbook. I know the plays that we're running. Like, I got this. Like, he just kind of had that thing about it. And I will say I would like the best performance from them. I mean, it was really tough to say, but probably Anthony Richardson out of the rookies. I mean, he looked the one with the most potential. And I will say about Stroud that he was able to run and pick up some extra yardage on some scrambles, but that O-line really needs to solidify itself for him to, take those steps forward.
Yeah, so it looked from what I saw, it looked like they had every single starting lineman out there for the Panthers that weren't injured. So that is a little concerning because that line did not look good.
No.
I will also say that I didn't necessarily think the receiving core looked great either.
No.
So, you got to hope Jonathan Mingo develops a little bit. But, I mean, Chark and Thielen looked like exactly what we expected. Like, not
a couple Jags.
But, I mean, like, I was watching Chark. There was like a little – I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a stop and go and he just settled down into like a comeback or if it was just the world's slowest comeback route. But I watched him do it, and I was like, that is rough. Like, you can't take 3 steps at the top of a curl. Like, I don't know. They just don't have that anymore, it feels like.
Yeah.
I remember when DJ Chark was a good Jaguar. Like, pretty good. And he went to, like, just people lose
injuries,
athleticism edge after a while. It just happens. But
he had too many injuries, Chark. He's had soft tissue injuries since that first big year in Jacksonville, really.
Yeah, so, yeah. But Bryce Young, I think he went 4 of 6 for 21 yards, 1 first down, and a couple scrambles. And I'll just say, like, it just didn't feel like that offense was helping him out much. So you got to hope that, which I didn't see a whole lot from Miles Sanders. So maybe they're trying to get on him. He didn't play?
He didn't play.
I didn't see any highlights or anything from him when I watched it. So
he's dealing with a groin, I'm pretty sure, right now.
Yeah, so maybe getting an experienced running back in there who can help with protection and take a little load off that will help. So we'll see. Let's talk about, I know you want to talk about it, Tyler. So let's talk about the CJ Stroud performance. I will say
you go first. It's your guy.
Yeah, I will say the reason I feel like Anthony Richardson is my big one coming out of this week is because he played a very reasonable amount. Like, it wasn't too much. It wasn't back and forth, kind of like Levis is. He just had a good number of snaps, a good number of pass attempts. Stroud only attempted 4, and Bryce only attempted 6. So I felt like I was down on both of those performances. I thought his interception was bad, but it happens. I'm not like freaking out about it. I thought Jalen Mills made a really high IQ play on the ball. I definitely think he shouldn't have looked as soon as he did and not throw. Like, you can't end your read and wait 2 seconds before you get the ball out. Like, if you want to throw the outside fade to Tank, just throw it and put it where it's either him or nobody. Or just take your check down to Schultz, right? Take your check down and punt. And there's a chance, right? He knew he was on a limited drive count and they told him you're getting 2. And he was like, I don't want to punt.
Yeah, he's like, I want to keep playing.
Yeah, so some of that could be it. But, learning opportunity. In the NFL, you're going to take that check down and you're going to punt. And you're not going to let the defense put you in a position where you went 6 points the wrong way. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's really hard to judge Stroud off of that performance. Like you said, his right tackle was an absolute turnstile. Both teams actually had horrible offensive line play for that whole game. It's really, really difficult to kind of evaluate quarterback play with that type of thing going on. I will say that I liked him scrambling. I liked him taking he seemed fast enough to get to the edge and kind of make a couple of yards. So make like a 3rd and 14 into a 2nd and 14 into like a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6 type of thing. I don't think he's going to be any sort of big time rushing guy, but he's going to be able to pick up those. He's not like a non-factor in the scramble game. So like, I think that he had that going for him. It's really tough to talk about like arm strength or anything like that. We all know what CJ Stroud has on those types of things. I would like to see him gain a little bit more control over the offense and make some more adjustments and stuff like that. But again, as far as a learning curve type of game goes, there are a lot to learn from, but if he is as resilient of a player as I think he is, he'll take those in stride and improve from them. So I liked a lot of what we saw, and I think that what he saw, there's a lot of improvement to be made. And he said that after. He's like, it's my first preseason game. Like, I'm going to have to see these things, I'm going to have to adjust to the speed, and I'm going to have to, just work harder to get back to that level. So that's kind of how I feel on that. Bahookie, you got any thoughts over there?
Not really. I mean, you guys have been pretty on it. We're talking about CJ Stroud right now. Yeah, it's one preseason game. On to the next one. We're on to Cincinnati. That's something that Belichick says, right?
When we were winning, that was fine. We're not winning anymore. Now it's not cool.
Yeah. It. Just try and see what the larger sample size is. But hey, I'm happy that we're here talking about football that happened this past week and actual statistics, even though they largely won't matter. But it's I like what it all represents. Where football's not back, but it's like
it's back, baby.
It's back enough. It's back enough.
I can see that the wings are still in the deep fryer. You can smell the wings cooking.
Yeah,
but you still got to give it about 5 more minutes.
Yeah. You kind of already covered AR really well, I think, and we kind of talked about him in the intro too. So let's kind of close out here and talk about Will Levis. A bit of a mixed bag. He had a pretty bad interception over the middle, and it's hard to really judge it. Like when you watch the all-22 back, it's unclear if he threw it high or he threw it low because he kind of has a receiver on either side of it. But he put it right in the middle to the safety, which you just can't do in that situation. Like there was nobody there to make a play on the ball except for a defender. But I did see some throws that I liked that I thought had timing and he's got good arm strength. That was showcased plenty. The problem is so does Malik Willis. And I felt like Malik Willis had a lot better control, which would be expected out of right? A year 2 versus a year 1. So take that for what you will. What did you guys have any thoughts on Will Levis?
I didn't see as much of that game as I would have liked to. So I saw a couple of the Levis snaps. I need to see much more development in his decision making, because decision making is what his problem was in college, in my opinion. Was he would try to force things. His accuracy isn't the greatest, but he has that like gunslinger mentality. So he's like, I'm going to force it in there. I think that needs to be like pressed out of him essentially in the NFL, because guys are too fast. Like if he's making the wrong decision, he's going to force it. That's going to lead to problems the whole time. So I would like to see him really start to try and clean that up, or else he's just not going to be able to handle it in the NFL, in my opinion. Luke, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, both of these last two guys. I mean, Richardson and Levis. I mean, I kind of indirectly talked about Levis by talking about Willis. Yeah, I'm probably a little bit higher on Willis. They still got a couple more games to figure this out. I mean, we always talking about this earlier. I feel like when there's a good quarterback competition, that's like honestly what makes like for marquee preseason, because although like the snaps don't mean that much, it's preseason. These snaps mean a lot to those particular guys. And yeah, right now, Will Levis has got to earn that 2 spot.
Word. Classic Brian Hoyer versus Ryan Mallett situation. I don't want to revisit that dark day. Well, we're gonna go ahead.
No, I was just making a noise. That was a horrible time.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up here a little early tonight. Take back all the time that we had allocated for Shane to talk about Deuce Vaughn, and we will see you guys next week. Our new time slot is like 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, kind of right in there, 30 to 45. So keep an eye out. We'll be back with more in just a couple weeks, guys. We're gonna have a big show for you after the first week of regular season. So come hear about how Tyler lost in all 22 of his fantasy leagues, and we'll have a good time.
40. There's 40 plus. I will not lose in all of them.
You got to win some of the. If you lose in all of them, you're tanking.
I literally have like a 34% win rate in my leagues. So 34%, yeah, give or take a couple percent.
Oh,
like win all the way, or like you win 34% of your games.
No, like I win the championship in 34% of the leagues.
I thought you meant you won 34% of the time, like across the board. Like,
why am I doing this so much?
All right.
All right, later, guys.
Cut it off, boys.
Yeah.